Hello, this is Psych Central's Ask the Therapist. I'm Dr. Marie Hartwell-Walker, and this is my colleague, Dr. Dan Tomasulo. And we thought it would be useful to talk a little bit about how a psychologist may be different from other kinds of counselors.
Yeah.
Dan.
And what happens often is that people have this idea about, therapists were sort of all the same kind of thing. But the truth is, almost any mental health professional who is out in the field can do therapy. They've been trained, they're able to do that. There might be specialties within that, so somebody might focus on substance abuse or somebody might focus on couple counseling. But in general, that's the larger domain of therapists.
So whether someone's a social worker or a licensed mental health counselor or a substance abuse counselor or a psychologist, if you go to a clinic, you might find yourself with a person with any one of those
Absolutely.
credentials, and they're equally qualified to do therapy.
Right.
But
Yeah.
within those professions, there are also specialties. And so one of the things we were going to address today is how is the psychologist, what can a psychologist do that those other people can't?
Particularly clinical psychologists, because clinical psychologists have special training in testing and evaluation. So they do tests and measurements. And very often when we get a question about a particular kind of behavior, and somebody may even have self-diagnosed it, or their friends are telling them this or that, it's often good to begin with an evaluation of some kind where you're not going to start going for therapy, but you're going to go to a clinical psychologist or even now a neuropsychologist who'll do an evaluation and then basically give you the results of that. And then you would go from there to find out who might do the therapy for it. So often a clinical psychologist can be a gateway to other kinds of therapy because they're doing an evaluation.
Can you say a little bit more about what comes out of that kind of evaluation, Dan?
I work a lot with a neuropsychologist that does great testing, and very often if somebody comes in and it's a collection of symptoms, it's not just depression or just anxiety or this, but there are some other things that are going on and I can't quite figure it out because I wasn't trained as a clinical psychologist. I'm a counseling psychologist. And I'll send that person for an evaluation, and they'll do a battery of tests. So, and these are not like IQ tests. These are tests about short-term memory, about being able to evaluate certain problems that are put in front of them. And what happens at the end is I'll get a report back, and this report will say this person has like dysthymia, or they have a particular psychological malady that isn't clean cut. It's not just depression or it's not just a bad mood, but they have maybe ADHD. They have something else mixed in there. And that evaluation will then make recommendations. Maybe they should get a medical evaluation now for medicine. Maybe this kind of therapy would be good. Maybe this kind of educational approach would be good. So I like it because for me, instead of just shooting in the dark, I get a little bit more of a prescriptive roadmap for that person, and that can be very helpful.
Thank you.